Just- They should make the fucking oh shit. Let's go. This mic is on and the thing is recording.
uh, making sure that things are recorded and that everything is running well. So, welcome. And to kick us off a little bit, I want to show you a little bit how we receive people in the mood. So these are some of our like base ground rules, which is starting with whoever shows up is the right person. So you being here, you're completely right here. Whatever happens is the only thing that could have. So we're going to adapt, be flexible. We're going to work with what we have here. We believe that everyone has something to contribute with, and we want to meet people where they are so that we can truly create something here together that is alive, that is real, and that we come out of this session with, oh, this has been useful to me with where I am. And I invite you as we go through a number of different experiences. So part of it is going to be sharing with you kind of cognitively, like the frame of how have we created the mood and what is it. But then also we'll have some experiential parts that we will guide you through. And so I would like you to contribute with your full presence and to really be here with us. And we'll make sure that you'll enjoy this time, that you learn something about the topic, but also that you learn something about yourself. And you hopefully come out of this session very enriched. So to get us started, I'll let Irina introduce like a little bit of our agenda, and then I'm going to jump us into like a bit of a kickoff. Irina, up to you.
Hi, everyone. As Pascal was saying, we will have really two pretty distinct parts, one of which is going to first be a little explanation of who we are, who we work with, and what is the mood and why we do it. We'll finish by a little more interactive kind of discussion in between you around what you want to do with this information. And then the idea is to make you experience the beginning of the mood. So it will not be exactly the mood experience. We have refined it so that it fits in a workshop format, but you will get to actually live through kind of what students live through. So this will be the general format.
And in the end of the session, we have some closing notes and some gifts for you that you can take with you. So with that being said, I'll jump us a little bit into just opening up the topic. And so the question that we have for you is, in your view, what should climate education be more like? And as you can see, there are like different letters here on the screen. And I ask you to either unmute yourself and say a word or like maybe like a mini phrase that starts with the letter of your choice. And I will take live notes and we kind of create like a little bit of a collective image here. You can also write it in the chat. So in your view, what should climate education be more like? A could be, for example, should be more agile. Maybe. What are your suggestions? So we have, okay, coming in fast. Okay, action oriented is the first one. Then fun. At the LPI, we have this notion of meaning fun. Like, can we create something that is engaging and inspiring, but also that really like touches people, that is meaningful? So deliberate. Okay, so that's thoughtful.
Less frightening.
Less frightening. Perfect.
Science-based.
Yeah.
Democratic and civic-minded solutions are systemic.
Less,
Um,
a less
so
frightening lifeline. I'm just improving this one. Deliberate, democratic,
future-focused.
future-focused. Fun and future-focused. Okay. What else
Arfan was
did you
also
get?
writing before that it's most important to believe in how it is currently possible to solve problems. So I would say something
Believe.
about
Less frightening lifeline plus hope.
hope.
Multidimensional. Thank you.
And there was something about sharing experiences. Interactive, maybe we can put it like that.
Governmental. Which one did you say? Say it again.
Sharing.
Sharing.
Yeah.
Science-based sharing. I like the one also with governmental practices. I like linked both to like the real reality and kind of like I don't know with which letter that starts, but if I find out, I will add it. Open optimism.
Inclusive also. We didn't have that one yet. It's an important one.
Okay. Shoop. We're going to create an extra multidimensional, inclusive, data driving and data driven. Okay. So there's like quite a number of kind of things that we would wish for our for education, right? We wanted to be not just cognitive. We want it to be something that is multidimensional, that includes many different viewpoints, many different ways of practicing it. We want to connect to real action. We want it to be in a way that it's really like less frightening, and we're not just focusing on our anxiety, but we're moving into action, and we're kind of moving into it with hope on one side, like that we can make a change, but at the same time grounding it in reality and basing it on science. We want it to be in a way that it's a deliberate practice, that it's a shared practice, that we share with each other, that we have kind of democratic processes in place, and that we're really focusing on the future in a way that brings in more kind of fun and optimism and kind of like going with a certain sense of kind of possibility and positivity at the future. So that was like a bit of a freestyle attempt to summarize some of your contributions. With this, I'll give it over to Irina to actually share with you which of these parts we are already including and how we're doing that. You're muted.
Great. So you see my slides now, right? So before getting into the mood, I'll just present very briefly what is the Learning Plant Institute for those who may not know yet. So we have recently become Category 2 Institute of UNESCO, and we are also a United Nations University hub. We are based in Paris, France, and basically what we are trying to do with our pedagogy is to train people who are not the best in the world, but who are really best for the world, who think collectively, who not only think in the scale of one who needs to beat the other, not only competition, also cooperation. The way that we do that is that we really try to think about the real problems and make students work with this complexity and find their place in the complexity. So we try to help them find their purpose, try to help them address real problems, and we're trying to ground ourselves in science while helping students actually develop real project and develop this kind of entrepreneurship spirit. And we scale using as ethical as possible approaches. We also use digital tools and such as AI, among others. What we train within in terms of competencies, in terms of what we want students to master, we are focusing not only on competency, but actually on capacities. So being able to really critically think, to be creative, and so on. We integrate within these capacities that are like 21st century, related to 21st century skills. We're integrating social emotional learning, and we will be developing a lot this aspect during this workshop. This session is organized in partnership with the Global Skills Academy of UNESCO. So maybe I can just give Lotfi a word on that. Lotfi, do you want to say several words about the Global Skills Academy?
Thank you, Irina. With pleasure. Hi, everyone. So I will start by introducing myself. I'm Lotfi Aboulad. I have been working at UNESCO for now about 7 years, and I support this program, the Global Skills Academy. So, and we are very happy to be part of this launch of the mood alongside the Learning Planet Institute. So the Global Skills Academy was launched 6 years ago in 2020 during the COVID pandemic in order to cope, with the challenges faced by the education sector that unfortunately we all know. So the Global Skills Academy, it's a platform, kind of a consortium of 25 partners from the private sectors, but not only. And together we build some educational program to provide learners with the skills of the future. So skills for the future. So we consider it's digital, green skills, of course, and leadership. We target, of course, it's a very focus on youth, but we also work with the teachers, vulnerable communities, of course, and we closely work with universities, educational institutions, and also TVET institutions. And we have, and for those who don't know this network, but the UNESCO UNEVOC International Center for TVET network across the world. So we also closely involve them in the implementation of our program. So basically, for us, it makes perfect sense to support the mood as our target and our objective is to provide 10 million learners by 2030 with the skills of the future. And we are very happy to collaborate with the Learning Planet Institute, which is, by the way, a member of the Global Education Coalition of UNESCO. Just to give you an example, for instance, how we work, we have partners such as KPMG, Microsoft, of course, UNESCO, and the network that I mentioned. And together, we leverage from our main assets and we try to reach, as many as learners that we can, and to also collaborate with the ministries of education or labor, depending the local context. With KPMG and Microsoft, for instance, just an example, we implement program in Kenya, in Uganda, in Tanzania, and in 3 other countries. So we try to have, a local impact, but also a regional impact on the skills of the future. So yes, we can go to the next slide. We also have to complement this Global Skills Academy. And again, to make it simple, it's very a space where we can collaborate, design educational program with multi-stakeholders. So it's really a simple idea. And we launch a Skills for the Future platform. And here it's really to know more, and you're very welcome to navigate the platform to see, all the initiative that we design with the private sectors. Also for the youth to better understand what kind of program also are available. If you want to join it, or if you want to collaborate on it. And also it helps because we have a map, so to see and to identify regions where it will be important to act, and then to create or to co-design program with our partners. So you are very welcome to navigate this tool on this platform, and please feel free to reach out with Lana. She's with me in this call, and she helps me also on this initiative if you have any question. And finally, we have this 25 partners that we closely work, and of course, we are very happy to launch with the Learning Planet Institute this initiative, and hopefully to amplify it in the coming months and years. So thank you so much. It was a short presentation, but of course I remain available if you have any questions, and the journey has just started. Thank you, Irina, over to you.
Thank you very much, Lotfi. So now we dive into what we are really doing within the mood. So the challenge that we're trying to solve is basically the big reports around climate education agree really well in terms of what type of education we need right now. So they agree that knowledge is critical, but it's insufficient. And so we need to help students gain agency by helping them act in a way that is grounded in their communities. And while they do that, they may have at some point difficulties to manage eco-anxiety or other difficult emotions. So we need to accompany also the emotional education. And the challenge with challenges like climate is that they touch all disciplines. So we need to create programs that integrate into whatever university discipline the learners are studying at the moment. And so what we wonder is, okay, how do we do this at scale, at the pace that we need to do it, because we need to mitigate and adapt to climate change now, and do it within affordable system. We think that, this is what we do with this MOOD program, which stands for Meaningful Open Opportunities for Discovery. The idea is to have the same scale as MOOCs, but do it in a way that really represents these new pedagogies that are much more action-centered and that bring together this reflection about, okay, what is my place in the world, understanding this big challenges, and then actually helping to act on it locally. The moods are designed for youth in between 15 and 35-year-olds. And really the main purpose is how do we make them feel that they can act on these big issues. In practice, the mood is structured in 3 modules. Each of them can be followed and leads to a certificate from the United Nations University Hub that we are. And so the 3 modules are Discover, Ideate, and Build. in the first module, you will see more in detail in the second part what we do there. But the idea is to help students discover what is meaningful to them, what they want to contribute to, while also understanding the climate challenge systemically and scientifically. The ideate part is where students come in teams and start thinking about, okay, what are the things that happen locally where we are that actually touch us, that are related to the things that are meaningful to us, and that we can build a solution for. So we help them ideate on that, and finally they get to build the solution that they thought about in the build module. In the end, we partner with a social incubator, INCO, which is a worldwide a large incubator that will help best projects to go further, to actually continue to be built once the mood is finished. So they will provide for the best projects some consulting, free consulting. Across these three modules, we always intertwine these three dimensions. So climate knowledge, socio-emotional learning, and action. Sometimes we hear the part where we need to integrate the head, the heart, and the hands. And really these three dimensions correspond pretty well to this idea of understanding cognitively, connecting to emotions so that they help us act, and actually learning to act. So in terms of workload, the mood represents around 12 hours of actual workshops where students are together. These are online workshops, but synchronous ones. And then they have, so this is for the Discover module first. And they have around 12 hours of personal work, which can depending on how well they already understand the climate challenges. And similar workload for the Ideate module. And for the build, it's very adaptable depending on the time that students have for the projects and depending on the projects that they chose. So therefore, the way that we deploy the mood is pretty flexible. We can either do intense weeks, or we can spread it over time so that it integrates within other activities. So for instance, the next run is going to start on 15th of April. We're going to do it with the partnerships of Bonn University. I'm seeing Annette here in the public who is coordinating this run from the Bonn side. And so there will be students from Bonn universities who are going to join this run. And we are also welcoming many, many other students from all over the world to follow the same program. It will run over 5.5 months, so it will be a pretty big run. The workload will be around 4 to 5 hours a week max. And it's also possible to just join the first module, discover, then stop, or go on until Ideate, or do the whole thing with the 3 modules. And it will be also possible to join the build if you already have a team and a project that you want to get help from. In terms of ambition, I was speaking about scale in the very beginning. Our aim is to reach by 2027 30,000 students, and also train mentors and facilitators so that the program can be spread as widely as possible. So the way that we scale that fast is, as I was saying, through partnerships a lot. So we're doing deployment in partnership with universities. We are also able to integrate some components of our programs within maybe an existing similar program that you have, but that maybe can be strengthened thanks to a partnership. We can also think about certifying some of less formal learning, but where similar skills are learned. And then to teach as we teach, we use a lot of human kind of intelligent engineering, I would say. So we have a system where the time needed to accompany students and the expertise are really distributed. So we have mentors who ensure that students advance and that are there every day, but whose requirements in terms of skills are low enough so that trained alumni could become mentors afterwards. We have then on-demand experts that are experts of the climate problems or in entrepreneurship, and that can answer some specific questions, but then they have less workload than if they were just mentors. We have community facilitation to ensure that there is a bond and that students can help each other well. And we are also developing right now the trainings for facilitators so that other partners could facilitate themselves the entire modular parts of it. We are also in the lessons that we have, we are integrating some parts where we have AI facilitation. For instance, the Ikigai that you're going to see later, it's exactly this case. So I'm not going to talk about it in detail, but Pascal is going to tell you more about it and show it to you. We have also templates for workshops where students are able to self-facilitate their workshop. Not totally for now. We are there's always one facilitator, but we're going in that direction. And it works nicely. We have for the scientific content, well, it's more classical MOOC-like, well-curated and engaging content. And then we ensure that also whatever students create, they share it. And this sharing is not just lost somewhere, but that the next generations can get inspired from previous generations, and we have a platform for that. So I won't go too much into the details of the exact content of each module, but you can see it here, and we can I can give you more details later. Basically, what I tried to represent here is that the colors show you how we mix and match the knowledge, the action, and the more socio-emotional learning parts. Each of the colors are related to one of the aspects. During the previous runs that we did, we had great feedback from students. It's formats that they appreciate a lot. We had like great response rates, and students answer to the question of whether you would recommend it, answer at least 7, and 80% answer 9 or 10. So the colors again represent the different dimensions of the mood. The yellow representing just a main impression. We see that different students put an accent and love more different things. We also have really good progress in terms of competencies. And these are examples of projects that they did. So here it's a team that mixed people from Kenya and from Kazakhstan who actually had the same problem, which is that they were living in regions that were at risk for floods. And they realized that the population was not ready to react in case of floods. And so they were going to schools and checking the level of knowledge, and then how they could accompany and how they can help the population better prepare, and also what they can give in case of urgency, so that the population reacts better to the incoming floods. This is on the countryside, a drought, how to prevent droughts. This is not just about education, it's also about talking to the actual farmers who work on land and thinking with them how it's possible to limit droughts by planting trees, by cultivating differently, and so on. And there are many other projects, some related to encouraging diets with less meat up. Oh, sorry, I clicked here. And some others where plastic management was really hectic in rivers, and so it's slightly less related to directly climate. It's more the environmental problems in general within the in the rivers in Nepal. These are the kind of posts after the trainings with where you can see also the certificates that we're giving out. And so what we can offer to you right now is to, first of all, you could actually join the next run if you want to. We can also partner with organizations to either enhance an existing program that you have with small parts of content, or actually have students participate in our runs. We can also think about course certification if it's something that is relevant to your organization. If you are already trained and you want to become a mentor or an expert that students could connect on demand, these are all things that where we would be happy to interact with you with. And now we are it was a lot of information that I just gave you, so I stopped talking. And here's a little moment where you will be able to kind of digest in terms of what actually resonated with you, what is of interest to you. And what we suggest as an activity is that you actually exchange with 4 other people around this question of what's piqued your interest in this presentation, what is specifically of interest to you, what would you like to do with what you just saw right now. So, Michael, let us know when you're ready for the breakout room so that everybody is sent to a breakout room with 4 other people. By the way, if you happen to be in a room where people have technical problems where it doesn't work out, just do send us a message.
Or come back into the main room and we'll talk with you.
Yes, that also works. While Michael is ending to prepare, yeah, do think right now about this question. You won't have it anymore when you'll be in the room.
So share what piqued your interest so far.
See you in 5 minutes.
Michael. I was all alone in my room, so maybe you want to put me into another room. So I was in room 10. Maybe you find another room for me. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I'll do that right away.
Thanks.
Hello. Um, hey Mohammed. Did you ask for help? Mohammed? Hello, Mohammed. Can you hear me? Hey, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Hope yes. Well, I hope everyone. Yeah, great. I hope everyone has been having a good time so far. But now we're gonna have a lot more the interactive part. Oh, great. More thumbs up. Yeah. So we'll have a lot more interactive parts right now coming up. Um, so hope you're still on board.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hi all, welcome back. I hope you were able to share with some of the other participants and get to know each other a little bit.
Yeah.
I waited.
What were the things that you shared? If you can maybe write in the chat what happened in your groups a bit. What was of specific interest to you during the presentation, or what you maybe learned for other people? If you can write in the chat. Mhm.
In our group, we had one teacher sharing that they would love to bring that to their students in Cameroon. And I was there also with Annette. and Annette sharing that it's so beautiful to have programs where people can meet other people in the world. And so having the connection between like local issues and global issues is something that is really like precious, and also creating these conversations. And let's see what else we have.
We had also a teacher from Benin who was telling his story about how to train people around those subjects in Benin.
What about you, Derry? You unmuted yourself.
I introduced the idea of we should listen to the students, we should listen to young people much better than we do, and we should incorporate their concerns, questions, and interests into the curriculum around climate change. We've got a great group of young people in the UK called Teach the Future, who are lobbying that climate change should have a much more central place in the curriculum, and that the enthusiasms, interests, questions, and concerns of the young people themselves should be at the heart of the curriculum. Unfortunately, government isn't listening as well as it should. Some policymakers are interested, but many are not, unfortunately.
Yeah. Thank you, Derry. What we're trying, and I'm going to share this in the next part, what we're trying to do is to bring the kind of concerns of the youth at the center, and bring it like at the center of the projects that they create. So I'm going to say a few more words after this, but maybe there's someone else that wants to share.
Yeah, I spoke about, there was in my group, and I told him my interest is actually how to empower the kids in my school to be agents of change. So put them in the driver's seat where they have to be the ones in control of things that has to do with the future. And so I've gotten involved in several projects, but this seems to be something that I would like them to start early. Yeah, so should I say, fit into the DNA of the school. The school is 25 years already, but being in charge of extracurricular, I have a lot to do with them in terms of what the kind of culture to build within the school. Yeah.
Thank you. Great. Should I take it forward?
So I think it's still I can go on. So right now we'll enter maybe in the second part, which is about having you really get an idea of what we do in our first module. So as you may know now, it's called Discover module. You can see here the exact kind of courses that we have within this module. Here we have really two objectives that are intertwined, where we first help learners understand the climate challenge and all its complexity, understanding all the research-backed information in an as engaging as possible way. And also understand the orders of magnitude. And while we are doing that, we are also having sessions where learners get to better understand what actually matters to them. So that, as Derry was saying, that they are able then to act from a place that is more true to what actually matters to them, and then it sustains their motivation and engagement. And so I'm going to very shortly present what we're doing in the part where we're teaching the climate essentials. Here, this part is really structured in lessons. first around understanding the problem and then understanding the solution. We are using a lot short video formats and quizzes to help students digest all this information. And then we're having workshops that help them build on this. To give you an idea of the type of content, we're just going to view a very short video from the Drawdown project, which is a project that we use in this part, which is very, I would say, down-to-earth climate solution centered, but in a way that is very grounded in science. And so here's a little talk where they explain very well what it is about. So we can listen to them for this just 3 minutes for the beginning.
No sound yet. I think you need to reshare your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was sharing my... You don't see my screen right now?
No, we see your screen, but you haven't enabled audio sharing. If you want, I can do it.
I have not enabled all my sharing.
Audio sharing.
Oh, audio sharing.
You need to stop sharing your screen and then share it again, and this time select also the audio. This way we can all hear.
Thank you for...
And thank you, Aldo, for your enthusiasm about this TED Talk and about the work of Project Drawdown.
Do you hear now well? Yes.
So science has been warning us about climate change for a really long time. If you've looked at the textbooks, you might have heard of a guy named Arrhenius who talked about climate change back in the 1890s. I was taught in grad school, there was a guy named Joseph Tyndall in the 1860s. But it turns out an American woman named Eunice Foote, F-O-O-T-E, beat them all by years. Back in 1853, she first told us how increasing the level of greenhouse gases like CO2 would warm the planet. And boy, did we increase those greenhouse gases. In fact, CO2 levels are about 50% higher than they should be, now higher than they've been in about 5 million years on this planet. As a result of those increasing greenhouse gases, you know the story. What's happened is the planet warmed up, just like Eunice Foote told us it would. In fact, it's warmed about 1 degree Celsius so far, and it's headed towards a lot more, depending on our future choices. So that's kind of the climate problem. We've heard about it before, you've heard all the details. But what we need to talk about now is solutions. How do we actually stop climate change and get the planet back on track? Well, when we think about climate solutions, you'll hear everything. You'll hear all sorts of claims, all sorts of people with an agenda. A lot of people trying to sell you something are going to tell you what the solution is. The idea is that, if you go on Twitter or Facebook and you ask, what's the solution to climate change? Well, here's one typical set of answers you might get, where people are often very confident of telling you they have the solution, the silver bullet, the thing that'll solve it all. Well, be a little skeptical about that and actually do a little science, because science can help guide us. It can tell us what might be true, what might be just an assumption, our best guess, and test it against data, and make sure that we actually can really be guided by data and not just hype. So the science tells us we actually have a lot of solutions. And Project Drawdown a few years ago, we went and reviewed about 100 major solutions to climate change and asked a lot of deep questions about them. Like, how big could they be? How effective might they be in the future? Are they actually ready now? And what would they cost? And so we looked at lots of solutions, like around energy and funding, rooftop solar. Yeah, that would work and that would help a lot. Interesting things like food waste would help a lot too, because food and agriculture are big contributors to climate change as well. Reducing the waste helps reduce the emissions. We looked across a whole bunch of things, in fact, and built an entire library of solutions. And when you put them together, it's kind of impressive. We can find a whole bunch of solutions here in, let's say, electricity, finding lots of ways to save electricity and to make it without carbon. That's cool. Or we can go over here into food and agriculture and find ways to reduce food waste, change diets, grow food better, and protect ecosystems, all at the same time. Or maybe over here in transportation, and so on and so on. In fact, we have a library of about 100 very viable climate solutions ready to go on the shelf right here today. But what this work has done so far.
I'll stop here. So this is a little kind of introduction of what is possible in Project Drawdown, and we're making students explore this library of solutions that we were talking about, where they see what is the efficiency in terms of solving the problems for the different in the different aspects. And they are getting inspired from these solutions to then broaden their mind about already seeing that actually a lot of things are being done, a lot of things are possible, and to get inspired in terms of what they can do where they are. Sorry. And now, yeah.
I was just saying we work with whatever happens.
So now we basically, I think that you can imagine pretty well how the course around climate goes. The more tricky part is how do you help hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of students find a cause that specifically matters to them and explore themselves. And we're going to focus for the rest of the workshop more on telling you how we do that and actually making you experience this part. So we are doing that with several tools. The first one that we are using is based on Ikigai. And I'll now leave the floor for Pascal, who is leading this part, to tell you more about how we do that.
Thank you, Irina. I'm gonna take over the screen share. Maybe you can stop sharing your screen. I will jump on. Up. So since 2018, I've been leading here at the Learning Planet Institute one initiative that is centered around social emotional learning, which is called Ikigai Plus. And our goal is in the next 2 years to help 100,000 people discover and live their purpose. And so purpose finding is part of social, emotional, and ethical learning. And we have a researcher from Cambridge, plus myself, that are working on developing the larger kind of like accompaniment throughout the mood around these topics. What I want to start us off with is firstly just sharing with you what is Ikigai. So Ikigai is a framework to enable people to find the causes that they care about. When we think about kind of like long-term engagement, we often think about professions. And when we think about professions, we're actually really thinking about what are your competencies and who can pay you for that. But we don't want to just engage people in kind of like long-term engagements that have led us to this point, where we are facing many of the challenges that we are facing today. What we want to add to this is to really connect to the student. What is it that they love, that they want to bring, that they value deeply? And we want to connect it also to the larger context. So what does the world needs? And what the world needs can be seen in many different layers. It can be seen on the global level, can be seen on like the national level, and can be seen on the local level. And so what I want to show you a little bit is the explorations that we have done in the last 8 years in how we can help people reflect on this. Because the questions might seem initially simple, like what are you good at? What do you love? What can you be paid for? But students tend to struggle a lot with giving answers to them. If you ask a student that is 18 or 20 years old, what are you good at? They often say, I have no idea. And so we developed a lot of different tools to help people go deeper in these reflections. And one of these tools that we have been recently developed and that we will give access to you at the end is an application called Ikigai Plus that can be used on the phone, but also on the laptop. It's an AI chatbot that dynamically interrogates the student and gives them a safe space for questioning themselves. And so this is based on years and years of research into the to create the right methodology. And now we have found, thanks to kind of like new technologies that become available, we found a way to share this in a way that it's flexible and that it really benefits the student. And so with Sergi University, we're going to deploy this to 40,000 students by next year. At this point, we have deployed it to about 10,000 students. We have a wonderful organization, friends of ours that are called Friendship, that have schools all around Bangladesh, but also in Europe, Arizona State University in the States, in Arizona, and also incubator programs. So we're kind of trying to help different programs to mobilize their youth for climate challenges. And so, for example, inside of their courses, help them to find the challenges that really fit them, that really speak to them. And for this workshop, we're going to focus on the circle, what does the world need? And what the world needs is something that we can address like this, for example. So these are the SDGs, but put together as a manifesto. So I'll just read the beginning of it. Imagine a world where there's no poverty and zero hunger. We have good health and well-being, quality education, and full gender equality everywhere. There's clean water and sanitation for everyone. Affordable and clean energy has helped to create decent work and economic growth. Our prosperity is fueled by investments in industry, innovation, and infrastructure, and that has helped us to reduce inequalities. And so these, maybe I'll read the full thing and then I'll take it further. So we live in sustainable cities and communities, and responsible consumption and production is healing our planet. Climate action has kept the warming of the planet, and we have flourishing life below water, and abundant, diverse life on land. We enjoy peace and justice through strong institutions and have built long-term partnerships for the goals. So this is a way of like kind of bringing together the UN Sustainable Development Goals, kind of in a way of like imagining the future. But the feeling that I kind of get sometimes when reading this is, on one side, it inspires me. On the other side, it makes me feel like there's so much work to do. And I would like to show you like a little graphic that kind of helped me to conceptualize this a little bit differently. So here you see all of the different causes together. But if you see that there's this large ecosystem, this large world, and there's hundreds of causes that we could dedicate ourselves towards to. can we have enough trust in the other people around us to just focus on that thing that brings us most to life? So you can see the yellow dot here, that like if I focus on my cause and I make a significant change in that little cause, and I trust that other people are doing their work and are maintaining the whole together, then that creates that can create this kind of vision. Just, but to me, that still seems a little bit large. Maybe you have heard this word before, the circle of concern. When we're focusing on our circle of concern, these are like all the things that are happening in the world at the moment: geopolitics, American leadership making one decision after another that you might or might not disagree with. And that can overload us, right? Social media can overload us, the news can overload us. And so way smaller inside of that is our circle of influence. These are the things that we can actually change something about. And the general idea here is that when we focus on our circle of concern, our circle of influence actually shrinks. Our capacity to do things shrink. We have a lot of eco-anxiety, but we don't feel like we can act. And so one of the reframes that we do in the MOOC is to focus on the circle of influence rather than the circle of concern. So how can I focus less on geopolitics and more on what is actually my local situation right here around me, and can find a way of like, what is my small contribution to the bigger picture, that as I start acting in my local environment, gradually my circle of influence grows. And maybe, 10 years from now, I will actually be able to address these issues on a global scale. So there's a circle of concern with the things that worry, bother us, that frustrate us. There's a circle of influence, the things that you can actually do something about. And my question is for you at this moment is, if you think about like you have 100% of your time, where are you currently spending the majority of your focus and time? In the circle of concern or in the circle of influence? And you can enter that in the chat. Actually, I would be curious to hear maybe like some approximation. So let's say, for example, for me, I think it's 30% in the circle of concern and 70% in the circle of influence. Maybe that's my aspirational, but we'll share the recording with you afterwards, no problem. And so the real challenge that we are facing is essentially that what happens at the moment to many people is that the scale of the problem desensitizes us from what we're able to do. And so there's this Daniel Schmachtenberger quote that I really love, which is, don't have the scale of the problems desensitize you from what you're actually able to do. Because as you focus on that, your actual influence grows, your capacity grows, and your impact grows. And with that, I want to invite us into a practice. And why a practice? So this is an SEL visualization practice, which will take about 3 minutes. And I want to do this because kind of ideas and talking a lot can kind of create a lot of overwhelm. And so I want to give us some time to just return back into our body, return back into kind of how we're feeling right now in this moment, and use that time as well to kind of connect to what is it that we uniquely care about. So I shared with you this image. So what we're going to try to do is we're kind of trying to zoom in. You know, there's so many things happening in the world, but in the field of climate action, which is maybe like the field of climate action is maybe just one of these circles. Let's say this is the field of climate action. Inside of that, what do I specifically care about? And so I'm going to guide you through a little practice that will hopefully enable us to connect to that. So bring this back there. So in the field of climate action, we tend to deal heavily in metrics, in urgent timelines, and in complex systems. We spend much of our time in a reactive state of responding to new data, to funding cycles, to policy shifts. And research suggests that, yeah, Irina?
Pascal, yeah, just it seems like there's an issue with the screen. It's stuck on the Ikigai diagram.
Yeah, we couldn't see the image that you were talking about with the circles, so it was stuck at the Ikigai diagram.
Let me see. Hoppa. Can you see my screen now?
Now
Yes.
we can see it, yes.
Okay. So you have only seen this slide?
Yes.
Yes.
That's a very monotonous kind of a conversation. You've missed so much entertainment. Okay, so that's the Ikigai slide. You've watched this for long enough. You can see the next slide.
Yes.
So these are the partners that we have worked with. We're going to focus today on what the world needs. This is the UN SDG manifesto, now with a lot more colors than just looking at the Ikigai screen. And so the idea here is really that, yeah, how can we enable youth to find their place in this like really, really large picture? And so then the picture that you were not seeing was this slide. So if this is the whole of, let's say, kind of different causes that people care about, and like each person's just like a little dot contributing to the functioning of the whole, climate action might be something like this. And then the question is like, this yellow dot might represent like the work of one person, and might actually be everything that you're able to do in a lifetime. You know, a lifetime of focused work is not able to create all of this picture. And so it needs all of us to work together to co-create and build this. And so the question is now, what is your place? And many of us are focusing on the circle of concern. And so we're not finding our place. We're actually, we're getting apathetic and we're just focusing on the news and the media. And so the idea is to focus more on the circle of influence. And so instead of having the circle of concern, the overfocus of it, shrinking our circle of influence, we focus on the circle of influence and have it gradually grow so that it basically, that we're able in the future to address the challenges that we care about. And with that, and like here was the quote that I was reading out, which is that, which I find so important, which is, don't have the scale of the problems desensitize you from what you're able to do. Like, I think just there are so many of us that are kind of checking out. They're checking out and they're like, the problems are so big, it's not gonna happen. And so giving that feeling of like, oh no, you're able to do something in your local context with the people that you care about. And you can actually create the future that you want for yourself, maybe not on the global scale, but maybe on a local scale already. And so I want to guide you now through a short practice to tune in with that, to kind of tune into that feeling. And yeah, for this practice, I mean, right now we are joining this session from many different locations, many different institutions, many different realities. Some of us here represent universities, some of us are students navigating the future, and others here are driving NGOs. So as you look at the screen, you see Irina, maybe you see Annette, maybe you see me, and maybe you see other people on your screen. I would like you to acknowledge that there are dozens of professionals and advocates here. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can see some of the faces that are here. There are dozens of advocates here, dozens of people that care, and we're all focusing on this exact same pixelated space in front of us. And this makes us a distributed network. We are focusing and currently aligned on a single focal point. We're sharing the same timeline, the same space. We are engaging in the same inquiry. And so this short practice is going to be an invitation to pause, and to pause, not to disconnect from reality, but to connect or reconnect with what gives our work strength, what gives our work meaning. There's not going to be any right or wrong way to do this. So I'm just going to guide you through this exercise, and you will just kind of like let the words trickle onto you, and whatever works for you, you take it. Whatever kind of like doesn't resonate with you, you can just let it pass. So if it feels comfortable in this moment, I invite you to gently turn your attention away from the screen, maybe close your eyes, or simply soften your gaze. Take a slow breath in to reset, and a slow breath out. For a moment, visualize this group not as a list of participants on a call, but as a gathering of colleagues in a room. You don't need to visualize faces, just acknowledge the professional and personal commitment represented here. Think of the collective years of research, of advocacy, and study present in this virtual circle. Recognize that this group holds a spectrum of perspectives, specific expertise, different levels of authority, and varying degrees of optimism or skepticism about the future. All of these perspectives are welcome in this room. I want you to notice how you are arriving right now. Not how you think you should feel, but how you actually feel. You might notice focus, tiredness, curiosity, pressure, motivation, or something in between. There's nothing to fix. I would like you to just acknowledge what's present for you and to take another slow breath. Now, I'd like to invite you to shift your attention to the root cause of your involvement in climate action. Not your role as a student or staff or entrepreneur, not your job title, not the organization you represent. I would like you to focus on the fundamental reason you have chosen to dedicate your time and intellect to this specific challenge. I would like you to allow that motivation to become specific. It might manifest as a specific community or population you know is vulnerable, a specific ecosystem or landscape you wish to protect, a commitment to scientific truth or intergenerational justice. You don't need to force an image. Just let the priorities surface. If a visual doesn't appear, you might feel it as a sense of responsibility, a tension regarding the status quo, or a drive for systemic change. Now, let that motivation sharpen. Move beyond the abstract concept of climate change. Ask yourself, what is specifically at stake in my corner of the work? Who will benefit if we succeed? As that image or thought becomes clearer, notice the emotion attached to it. It might be urgency, frustration, anger, protective care, hope, or simply a stubborn refusal to give up. Whatever you treat, whatever you identify, treat it as information. This is the fuel that powers your professional endurance. Imagine holding this specific motivation, not in isolation, but alongside everyone else on this call. We are all driven by different specific factors, but we are pushing in the same direction towards collective resilience. Acknowledge to yourself, this is why I do this work. Before we return to the group, take a moment to anchor this feeling. Where do you notice this commitment in your body? It might be a straightening of your posture, a change in your breathing, or a quiet focus in your mind. This sensation, this care, is a resource. It is something you can return to when the work becomes bureaucratic, overwhelming, or slow. Now, gently bring your attention back to your immediate surroundings. Feel the support of the chair below you. And when you're ready, look back at the screen. And I hope that you can bring that clarity of purpose with you as we move into the next little exercise. And for this next exercise, let me just let everyone arrive. How did that feel? We're gonna do a little bit of journaling to gradually anchor this feeling inside of us and to kind of make it more concrete and give it more space. And so I've prepared 6 questions for you in an exercise that is called Crazy 6. Crazy 6 because I'm going to ask you 6 questions over 6 minutes. So you have 1 minute per question. And the first question is, and you can write it down with a pen in front of you, or maybe you want to write it on your laptop, you can choose. The first question is, what image feeling or phrase stayed with you the most? And so I give you 1 minute to answer what image, feeling, or phrase stayed with you the most. Second question. If you look beneath that image or feeling, what do you think this concern is really pointing to? If you look beneath that image or feeling, what do you think this concern is really pointing to? And the third question coming up. Who or what is most directly impacted by this issue? Who or what is most directly impacted by this issue? The fourth question is, why does this particular issue matter to you personally? Why does this particular issue matter to you personally? Question number 5 out of 6. Which emotion feels strongest when you think about this concern right now? Which emotion feels strongest when you think about this concern right now? And for our last question, and for this one, I would like to invite you actually to share this one in the chat. Complete this sentence as simply and honestly as you can. What I care most about right now is ... What I care most about right now is ... So first response is my city, which is a great response. Water scarcity, growth and change of mindset, well-being of living beings, my people, my country, connecting people around me back to nature. What I care about right now is peace, our beautiful planet, my future, my family, my surroundings, my earth. To play a positive role in society, to bring positive changes. And so Irina, if that's okay with you, I'm gonna adapt a little bit the breakout room to make enough space. Nature and the upcoming generation. And so there's, I'm gonna, yeah, okay, I want to do this one just because it's nice. So this is a little practice that I discovered, I don't know, like maybe a year ago, and I just love to use in different practices. So what I invite you is to put one hand forward, and then you take one finger and you just start tapping. So this exercise is called gentle rain. So the rain gets a little bit stronger. It's 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 4 fingers, 5 fingers. And now I would like you to, the rain gets gentler again. 4 fingers, 3 fingers, 2 fingers, 1. And gently stopping and inviting a little smile on your lips. It's just a little way of kind of getting from the noisiness of the head, like just, 5-10% more into the body. But it's a great little interlude. When we think about can you close the breakout rooms? Okay. One statement that I always found very, very helpful is when we are making statements like, for example, I want to, like what Irina just said, I want to connect people back to nature. This is often coming from like past kind of like concerns, past things, past thoughts that we had. And so towards the past, towards what we have already experienced. When we reformulate that into a question, for example, how might we reconnect people to nature? It starts pointing towards the future. It starts engaging us. It starts inviting us. And so the tool that we use, which comes from design thinking, is called How Might We questions. And I really love How Might We questions for many, many different reasons. I love it, kind of everything about it. So it's a question. So it's pointing you towards the future. It's saying not how might I. It's saying by default, how might we? Inviting people into a collective perspective, which is so much needed in our kind of individual thinking patterns. It says might, which is like, we don't know for sure how it's going to play out. We need to stay open that the future is going to evolve in many different ways. So how might we? And so what I'm going to invite you to is, you said in the chat that you care about many different things. So for example, fight against corruption, overall development of students, the upcoming generations. You can limit yourself to kind of climate action, but climate action is also situated in larger one in not larger actually, in societal issues. So those two interplay. But I would like you to create a question that looks a little bit like this. So, for example, how might we make climate-friendly choices easier and more accessible for everyone? How might we reduce our everyday carbon footprint without sacrificing our quality of life? How might we help people feel empowered to take meaningful climate action in their local communities? Irina? Did you want to add something? No.
Nope.
So what I would like to invite you is to think about this framing. Some of you said, for example, I care about the upcoming generations. Some of you said something a bit more specific, course related. I would like you to think about and create a question of your own that is a question that you carry and that is connected to your cause. So, for example, it might be very general, like how might we be able to take care of our community? So that would be like a very open question to explore, right? How might we take care of future generations? So it's the most general, and I invite you to make it as simple and specific as you possibly can right now, but knowing that you can also explore this question as you move ahead and as you have further conversations. So I would like to invite you to write that question into the chat, and I'll start with one of mine as well. We have about 3-4 minutes just to write and kind of think about a good question and to share it with the group. So this might sound familiar to some of the people that I was with in the chat room. How might we co-create spaces that enable youth to find their voice in order for more people to act for a resilient society? And none shared, how might we persuade people around the world to reflect on their daily water and electric usage to care more about the planet? I'm gonna just stop sharing for a moment so that we can just focus on the chat and just see kind of like the questions that kind of come dribbling in like a gentle rain of questions and investigations and common inquiries. Do individual actions really make a difference? There's is there anything else but individual actions? It's a different question here. So for you, one of the questions might be, how might we actually be able to make a difference? Or how might we be able to incorporate climate learning and knowledge into the minds of the young generation? Great question. How might we better learn to be connected to our emotions while taking well-thought, impactful action? How can we bring together kind of emotions and the mind together? What are other questions alive in you? How can climate action motivate action? Does relieving climate-friendly indigenous cultural practices aid in protecting nature? How can climate education be designed to empower communities to take practical action against climate change? In what ways can sustainability education empower young people to become global leaders? I invite you to use the framing of how might we. It just gives it a nice kind of direction that you can explore more easily. How can we connect the dots between our daily problems and climate change? In what ways the politicians would be interested in thinking about the future of India? And maybe how might we engage with politicians to create a more considerate future for India, for example? Climate. What is the real concern to create action according to different sectors, ages, communities? Climate in a city like Delhi. How might we address climate change in a city like Delhi? I'll wait for maybe like 1 or 2 more minutes just to give everyone the chance to articulate their question and share it. And then we're going to share with you the vision of previous mood students and what they've wrote. How might we foster sustainable global connections in times of information inflation? How might we foster sustainable global connections in times of information inflation? So when there's so much information battling for our attention, how can we stay connected? Okay, perfect. Okay, one last one. How might we tap into the past in order to lay strategies in terms of climate intervention? How might we bring green climate revolution in our Earth? Okay. So let's take a look at other mood students. So just to give you like a taste of what other students in the mood answered. Ah, no, wait, these are all questions. Okay, I'm gonna give this. Okay, be prepared to. I'll share it with you in a second. I have a better place for that. Let's see. Okay. Do you see my screen? Okay. So, one of the important movements that we're doing in the mood is a movement from what is, so kind of taking our current reality for granted and kind of fixed, and there's nothing that we can do to change it, to moving towards what if. And the question here really is as a question of perspective. When we focus on kind of the current state and we feel like there's nothing that I can do, we don't do anything. But when we focus on kind of like a sense of possibility and kind of asking this question, like, what if this was different? What if I took this step? What if I took that action? Suddenly things start to become possible. And there's this quote that I like, which is, we need to imagine another world before we can build it. And I cannot think of anyone better in terms of imagination than Martin Luther King. And so he definitely didn't say, I have a nightmare, follow me. Like, it's very difficult to build a movement around that. He framed it as, I have a dream, and I want to share that dream with you. And if you have that dream as well, maybe we might move together into that future and take action towards that. And so what we did with the mood students was to create a collective speech that took all of their different concerns and turned it into kind of a collective experience. And so for this speech, which follows the kind of the same principle that Martin Luther King used with many of the leaders of the movement, they came together one day and they created something which is called the Beloved Community Manifesto. And the Beloved Community Manifesto is one of the foundational pieces that led to the I Have a Dream speech. And in this Beloved Community Manifesto, they didn't think about everything that is wrong with the world. Yes, they had many conversations around that, but they also thought about, how do we want the world actually to be like? What do we want the beloved community to look like? And what we created with the students in one of our early sessions in the mood during the discovery part is a Beloved Community Manifesto. And I would like to read that together with you and to just hear a few voices to kind of give life to this together. So if you feel ready, I would like to maybe just ask for like 5-6 volunteers to press on the raise your hand button below. The only thing that you need to do is to unmute yourself for 10 seconds and to read a sentence. So it's a small task, but I would love to read it together with you. So if I could have some volunteers that bravely and courageously raise their hands. Thank you, Abraham. Thank you, MCP. Thank you, Francois. Do we have someone else? Maybe a third person, and then we'll read it together. Okay, perfect. Cool. So, thank you, dear Hafiz, Francoise, Abraham. So I'll start off the speech, and then I'll give it off to Abraham next, and then to Francoise, and then to Hafiz. Friends. So this was kind of a constellation of all these things that the mood student said. Friends, brothers, sisters, fellow dreamers of a better world. I stand before you today, not on the steps of a memorial carved in stone, but in the heart of a world grappling with a fever born of neglect, of division, and of a promise unfulfilled. I see a world weary and weighed down. I see the anxious parent who must choose between putting food on the table today and worrying about the climate of tomorrow. I see the questions etched on the faces of our youth, asking how we can speak of progress and excellence in a world that competes for everything but peace. I see the shadows of apathy and the loud stillness of inaction, and I hear a quiet, desperate question echoing in our communities. How do we ensure that the effort we make truly counts? For that, I give it to Abraham to continue. The next two.
This is the state of our union, a world of unheard voices and unharnessed potential. But I say to you today, my friends, that even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It's a dream deeply rooted in the fertile ground of our shared hope. I have a dream that one day the right to clean water and fresh air will be as fundamental as the right to freedom itself. I have a dream of a world where we have not just sustained our planet, but have created systems to generate it, turning our urban space into lush green sanctuaries for all to enjoy.
Thank you. And I'll give it over to Françoise for the next three.
I have a dream that every child, regardless of their learning needs, will be supported and cherished in classrooms that solve real-world problems of their own community. I have a dream that our unique skills will no longer be mere tools for survival, but instruments for creating a world where differently abled individuals thrive with dignity and boundless opportunity. I have a dream that we will leverage the riches of our diverse culture and language not as barriers but as bridges to foster an international understanding that can finally heal our climate. I have a dream of a world where justice is the law of the land, where legal systems work for the environment and not against it, holding corporations and government accountable for the ones they inflict upon our earth.
And giving it over to Hafiz.
I have a dream that we ignite a fire of community-driven innovation in every overlooked corner of our nation, empowering people to turn their ideas and skills into fulfilling jobs that heal both our planet and our people. I have a dream that empathy becomes our common language, a discourse that finally empowers the dull hum of empathy, no empathy, and inaction. I have a dream that we will convince those on the fence about the urgency of our climate crisis, not with fears, but with an irresistible vision of a world that is more just, more equitable, and more alive.
Thank you very much. And I'll just read the last bit, which is, I have a dream of an economy where the health and security of our working people power green transition for all, and where businesses measure their long-term profitability by the positive green impact they create. I have a dream that will empower our youth not as the leaders of a distant tomorrow, but as the essential and powerful leaders of today, amplifying their voices to shape the sustainable policies that will define their future. I have a dream that we will build powerful partnerships, wedding scientific research with community engagement, to cultivate a new generation of activists, innovators, and policy shapers. I have a dream today, and when we allow this dream to flourish, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we'll be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. So that's taking a little bit from the tones of the of Martin Luther King. And what I found fascinating in this exercise was how many people like how when we reflect with a small group of people, that the result actually looks very, very close to what the UN created with all of its member states. And so this kind of like this echoing of like the global level of what we desire for a flourishing future and what our students actually desire to contribute to, it matches. And so if we can help them to do that, actually it's helping all of us to contribute. And so with that, I want to move us into the closing part of this session. And up. And what we want to do is we want to give you a free taster of the Mood program. So the free taster is going to be so one part of the program, which is called Ikigai Plus, which is available in French and in English. And this is a tool that will guide your self-reflective process to take the questions that you've asked today and really take them a lot deeper, and also give you a first starting point, kind of like a first sense of coherence of how all of these things fit together to like move you into action and kind of like show you, okay, this is what I can do and this is what I want to do. And so if you want to, you can scan this QR code and they will give you free access to the Ikigai app. So it's something that is kind of like the starting point of the Mood. So it's also an invitation from us for you to join the Mood later on and to continue this journey from the starting point into a lot more depth, and to not just do it alone, but meet other people and do it together and work together with them. So we're going to share that link, I think, in the chat, and also we're going to send it to you via email together with the recording of the session. And I think what we wanted to do at this point was, I put a slide here to say cheese. So I think cheese means I wanted to make like a little group picture. Maybe I can let Irina or Michael lead this one. Thank you. You're very quick with turning your cameras on. So if you can turn your cameras on, thank you very much. It's super appreciated. Just as like a little thing that we can share with the people that didn't attend the session so that they get jealous and they watch the recording. So Michael, do you want to take it?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. All right. So I'm going to do a countdown to 3. Everyone, smile the biggest smile you've had in your life. And we'll have a competition. We'll let people know later who had the biggest smile. Anyway, cool. 1, 2, 3, and cheese.
Well, like biggest, most authentic smile at the same time. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thanks.
much, everyone. I think on my last slide was only a thank you message. So the official run of the next run of the mood is running April 15th till September 30th. In the email you'll receive, you can join us. We also would be extremely delighted to partner with other organizations to spread this work. And maybe some final words from Irina?
Well, thank you all for attending the workshop and staying until the end. We just want to thank all our partners, the Global Education Coalition, who helped us bring some of you around the table, University of Bonn and Cergy, with whom we already partnered to train students, INCO, who is the social incubator we're working with, and Stellantis Foundation, who is funding all this work. So thank you all for being here. If you, as Pascal was saying, if you want to go further in this project, either in participating in the mood or in partnering with us, you should receive a mail just after the session with a form to fill in and tell us what you're interested in. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Pascal and Michael, also.
Absolutely. And if
Thank
anyone wants
Thank
to
you so
share
much.
on this session
Thank you
on
very
LinkedIn,
much. See you
please tag
soon.
us so we can amplify it.
You.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Dim, 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 dim.
Time to put the lights out. Cool. Thanks everyone. See you in the mood.
Yeah.